And good evening. I'm political editor Dennis Walsh. This is Politics Unplugged, and the race for Kyrsten Sinema's Senate seat could have massive implications for the balance of power in Washington. Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb is one of those Republicans running for that seat, and he joins us today to talk about his campaign. And I want to thank you very much for joining here. So let's just start off. This is the first time we've had you on the show since you've announced. How's the campaign from your perspective going so far?
The campaign's going great everywhere we go. We're getting a ton of support. We're raising money, not as much as we'd like to. That's always, I don't think anybody raises as much as they'd like to, but we're doing great. We're getting all over the state. I got the miles on the vehicle to prove it. But everywhere we go, we're getting a great reception.
Now, I know you're saying that the campaign is going well from your perspective, but some of the numbers that we're seeing now, saying that it may not be going that well. You brought up fundraising out there. You look at some of the latest polls out there. We just had one the other day that showed you trailing Kari Lake by a lot. The fundraising numbers haven't been as robust as obviously you would like. I'm sure Kari Lake is going to be able to bring in a lot of money. We've seen Ruben Gallego, that's a general election thing, but we've seen Ruben Gallego raise upwards of $10 million, I think, this year, something or close to that. How are you able to turn this around, this public perception around that you're just trailing in this race? How can you turn it around?
Look, I've been successful in 2 elections, and while money matters, it's not everything. If money mattered, we'd have a different governor and a different senator. Money doesn't always make those races. What matters is getting out to the people and earning their vote. And that's what we've really been trying to do in this campaign, and we've been very successful. I look forward to getting out in front of everybody. More Democrats, more independents, and obviously as many Republicans as we can. And we have a very clear path to how we can get victory. And we feel very comfortable about where we're at in that process.
Now, obviously, Pinal County Sheriff, you've been a border hawk for a long time, obviously a central part of your campaign. But as one of 100, if you were to be elected and becomes the next senator from Arizona, how are you going to be able to affect any kind of change, do anything different from the Senate regarding the border than what's been tried in the past?
Look, Arizona needs a proven conservative fighter. That much I know. And as a sheriff, I'm one of almost 3,100 sheriffs. Yet we've still managed to make an impact, not just in the state, but nationally. As one of 100 senators, we can still make an impact. Look, I always ask people, how many people stood in front of the tanks in Tiananmen Square? One man stood in front of the tanks in Tiananmen Square, and he changed a dynasty. I think there's a lot of like-minded Americans that are fed up with the way this country's going, with Joe Biden, those policies. Everybody's hurting right now. And when you talk about border, crime, economy, national security, these are all the kitchen table items. They want somebody that knows what to do with those issues.
But let's push back a little bit on the economy. I look at the economic numbers. The economic numbers look really good. We're still creating jobs. Unemployment is very low. Dow Jones is high. How come you keep saying the economy and people aren't happy?
I would disagree with that. I think that you're recovering jobs that were lost through COVID. I think that's they're doing a touchdown dance on those jobs, but those are jobs that were just coming back from COVID. Here's some real numbers for you. Credit card debt has increased for Americans from $765 billion to $1.1 trillion just in the last year. That's a 40% increase in credit card debt. Car loans are at their highest point of delinquency. Mortgage rates are at a 20-year high. The numbers go on and on. This is unsustainable. The credit card interest rates are at about 20% right now. Not to mention, every product we consume right now since January 21st, January of 2021, whether it's gas, groceries, anything we buy has gone up by 25%.
But inflation is coming down.
But the wages have dropped.
But the inflation has been coming down.
Which, inflation, they're going to struggle with that. They're going to try to bring inflation down because they want to get reelected into office. But the numbers say otherwise. The numbers say Americans are going into debt. And frankly, nothing matters more than when you go out and speak to the people in the public, especially in a state like Arizona where there are so many people that are on fixed incomes. And we are now saying you're going to pay 25% more for everything you're purchasing, which has happened in the last 2.5 years. It's unsustainable, and I'm telling you, the people of Arizona and America are not agreeing with Bidenomics. It's not working.
All right, and two, I mean, you're eyeing a Senate seat here, so you're going to delve into a little bit of foreign policy issues. Now we see 2 wars. We see one in the Middle East, and we see one in Ukraine. Do you support funding for both of those efforts?
First of all, we're in those wars right now because of the weakness shown from this administration, and that started on the southern border. When they failed to secure our southern border, we sent a message to the world.
How does the southern border have anything anything to do with that.
We send a message to the world that we can't even control our southern border. How are we supposed to stop people from invading Ukraine or invading Israel? Look, like many Arizonans and Americans, I don't think we should be sending any more money to Ukraine. We need to stand with Israel. We need to help Israel in this fight to demolish terrorism in this world. But we've got our own issues right here at the southern border as well. We need to spend some money there because terrorism is coming into this country. It has been coming in. We've already let the devil in the back door.
But not funding the Ukraine war, isn't that somehow some sort of tacit support for an autocrat in Russia and Vladimir Putin?
Look, we've got to stop Putin, get him out of Ukraine, but we can't just continue to send money.
It takes money to do that, though.
You can send equipment. You don't have to send money. And look, Joe Biden has bungled this thing from the start. We got to be real with it. He has not done a good job with that whole situation. And now you've got the leader of Ukraine coming back and begging Americans, saying, give me more money, I'll pay you back. That should be a red flag for every American. It should be a red flag for you. We can't just keep sending money. And I'm telling you, I'm speaking what Americans are telling me every day, what Arizonans are telling me every day. We can't be the savior for the world. We got our own issues here in America, and it starts right at the southern border.
So, your chief opponent in the primary, Carrie Lake, I want to get your thoughts on that. We've seen a lot of reporting over the past week that she is somehow trying to pivot, trying to be a moderate now, and reaching out to moderate Republicans, in the party, people who supported John McCain and those types of folks. First of all, let's get your thoughts on what do you think about those types of Republicans? What do you think about John McCain's legacy and his supporters?
Well, I don't distinguish them. I just think they're all Republicans. They're all Arizonans. Independents, Democrats, Republicans, they're all Arizonans. I'm trying to understand, what do we need to do to fix Arizonans' daily lives? How do we protect them? How do we deal with the concerns they have for rising crime? How do we deal with their concerns they have for national security, whether their families are safe? How do we deal with the economical concerns? That is what I'm focused on. And I have no doubt that I'm the only candidate in this race who has the experience fighting many of these issues on a day-to-day basis. And if I didn't think I was the best candidate for this job, I wouldn't be in this race. But I think we're going to win, and we're going to take this state back.
And final issue here for this segment: where are you on elections? Do you think that the 2020 and the 2022 elections were fair, accurate in Arizona and across the country?
Look, we got problems with our elections. I think everybody agrees with that. From both sides, Democrats, Republicans have all expressed concerns about the way the elections go. And I have done everything I can as a sheriff to try to do what my within my bailiwick, what can I do to secure those elections within Pinal County? And what I know is that as a senator of the United States of America, it's my job to make sure the federal government stays out of the state elections. And that is what I will do, is make sure that the federal government's not interjecting on state elections. The Constitution was very clear. It set forth that this is a state issue, and I would support any changes that I think make our elections more fair, to where people could trust them on both sides of the party, because everybody's getting a little disenchanted with just where we're at as a country. I would love to restore that trust.
So restoring that trust, though, is acknowledging realities of things. Did Katie Hobbs, is she the legitimate winner of the governor's race in Arizona in 2022?
Well, I don't think you asked me getting me to acknowledge that or this or that.
I think it's important. I think it's important for people to see where you stand on this.
When I go out, nobody's asking me that. What they're asking me is, can we trust these elections moving forward? And my job is to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to give them trust. And where I can do that is in Pinal County right now. And I hope to be able to look at how we do that on a national level. But it starts by making sure the federal government's not involved in our elections here.
All right, going to have to end it there. Sheriff Lamb, thank you very much
for
coming on the show and talking about your Senate run here.